Room 250, everyone, where we... Hold on, I've already fucked up shit. Welcome, everyone, to Room 250 Podcast, where leaders of the industry help current and future graphic designers crush the creative goals one pixel at a time. I am Ito Soy. I'm joined by my two best friends and our guest, Mr. David Sly, Arturo Pete Peralta, and Ryan Vellinga. Welcome, everyone. Woo! All right, so our guest today, Ryan, is an up-and-coming designer, fresh from the streets of UNLV. Just graduated, like a month or two ago, Ryan?
Yeah, like 2 months ago.
Yeah, and like to me, bro,
why you're
like,
that fresh?
I'm
He's
fresh.
Shit, I thought you were like a year or 2 years already. Man, who approved it?
This is Martin's fault.
Bro, that's what makes him even
I thought he
better.
told you.
This guy right here, this motherfucker down there is already doing shit for magazine covers. He already had his artwork on the Sphere in Las Vegas. That's pretty impressive and that's pretty big.
That's really
so
cool,
I
yeah.
definitely
Hey, I have that Photoshop mock-up too, bro.
Yeah, hey, mine's better. So
Oh, he heard your episode, bro. You got that from your episode, motherfucker. All right, before we start talking shit, let's see what we're drinking. And I'll start it off. I have this whiskey from Japan. It's funny because it's so interesting that they choose to put their name very, very, very small. The name is Nika Whiskey? Nika.
Hey, man, you can't say that.
Yeah, hey, bro. Well, bro.
That's why I'm saying it really, really slow. Let me look. Yeah, that's it. Nikka whiskey. Straight from Japan. Super tasty. Very smooth. What about you, Pete? What you drinking? And pass it along.
So, a buddy of mine, he's a UFC fighter, and he just went back to the Netherlands. He just fought last weekend, but he left behind these Jack Daniel, the Jack and Cokes. I've never tried this before, so I'm like, hey, it's free, so I'm going to go ahead and try it. What I really kind of found interesting and weird at the same time, like I wonder how the marketing meeting went with, no, Coca-Cola is supposed to go on top, is, Coke and Jack, not Jack and Coke, and just trying to figure, brand strategy on that part. And as a backup, just in case it tastes like shit, I always have my Pacifico.
Nice.
Hey, they're pretty good.
Now, seriously though, Pete.
Oh, are they?
Isn't it Jack and Coke? Or
yeah, it's Jack
I've
and
never
Coke.
heard anybody say Coke and Jack, so it
Yeah,
makes sense for Jack to
it's
be on
Coca-Cola.
top.
It's Coca-Cola, man.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. What
All
about
right,
you,
Sly.
Ryan? What you drinking, bro?
Oh, okay.
I got or is it Sly or my turn?
You can go first.
Sorry to steal your thunder, Sly. Okay, I've got a beautiful Dos Equis.
Oh,
That's all I had in my fridge. So I've got a couple of those prepped and ready.
Nice.
Sly?
I've got this. I just found this at the gas station. El Jimador.
What
Ooh.
is
Like
that?
Isn't that tequila? That's a part of it.
Yeah,
tequila,
Jimador's
right?
tequila, right?
Paloma premium
Oh,
malt
shit.
beverage with natural
Nice.
flavors. Produced in Memphis, Tennessee. But yeah,
Bro,
I thought it
all
was a
these-
tequila too, so I'm like, that's interesting because it doesn't say tequila anywhere on the bottle. Or on the
Yeah, all these
can.
like random alcohol drinks are like popping up everywhere. That's pretty cool.
But grapefruit Paloma, and I like grapefruit.
I got some more
Awesome.
Jack because this needs like one more shot in it. And then it's
Here's a little ASMR.
Of course. Oh, that was perfect, bro. I like that.
Oh,
Yeah,
refreshing.
I'm gonna save that for later. Let's do something a little different today. Just take a couple more minutes. I know Pete, you have something special you wanted to share. I definitely have something special I want to share. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
you go ahead.
All right. So a couple of weeks ago, like a month or two, Workamajig. If you guys have never heard of Workamajig, they're a project management software. So they send me out some portfolios to review for a scholarship, and I had to pick three different students, the ones I thought were the best, and they submitted a essay, and then the work, and then the process of their work. So I went through all of them. I think there's like 20 of them. I went through all of them, and then I selected the ones that I thought were best based on not the essays, because the essays were all the same. It was about AI. They all talked about how AI this and that, and everybody said the same thing pretty much. Like, follow it or you're gonna get lost. But a lot of them,
I don't think you read them.
I did, bro. I did. All of them literally said the same thing. The same thing we say here. It's like, yo, evolve with AI, use it as a tool, blah blah blah. But
like the first 3 pages or the first 3 sentences, he's like, this one.
No.
All right.
But anyways, they were like, it was pretty dope. Some of these up and coming students, I was like, wow, I was really impressed. Some of them did. There was 3 sections. One of them was create a poster using AI, and the other one was do a self image of yourself graduating using AI, and the last one was make a commercial for our product. And the commercial, the one I picked for the commercial, was really pretty impressive because it felt like an actual commercial. So I was like, that's it. All of them I went by with that. Like, your product looks like an end product, like something I would use to advertise something, then I'm gonna go with it, and that's what it was. So, they asked me for my address, and they were like, "Oh, we just want to send you a thank you gift," and I was like, "All right, cool, whatever." Send them my address. We do it. Remember this shit. We do it for the good, not the glory. That's what I believe in. Like, I do it for the good that is going to help other people. I don't care about the credit, whatever. If I get it, it's like an extra bonus, blah, blah, blah. That's what I live by. But they sent me this, I got it yesterday in the mail. They sent me this box. They came in this box. And then it was pretty cool because it's engraved. And it says, welcome a jig. And it says, thank you. And inside
Bring it up.
the
We couldn't
box,
see it.
oh, sorry. Here you go.
Ooh.
Yeah, and inside the box we have, obviously I took one out, but there's 2 drink glasses in there, and it's lasered in, engraved, their logo, and it says thank you in a cursive font. And I thought that, like, that was a pretty cool gesture. Like, dude, that's dope. It's a personalized gift, and it's pretty much just saying thank you. How dope is that? But that's
Really
what I
nice.
wanted to share with you guys. Thanks, man. Pete, what you got? You got something cool?
Honestly, I don't even know what you're talking about. What was it?
You said you wanted to share something from IKEA, brah.
Oh no, I said I was at IKEA and I got this like cup holder thing.
Oh, I thought you were like, oh, I'll just
Yes.
share it on the
No,
thing. I'll
no.
share it on the thing.
No.
Well, I mean,
Oh,
we're doing
no,
show
I
and
was
tell.
gonna talk about the can, the Jack and Coke can. That's what I was gonna talk about. Yeah, no,
Well,
the
you
IKEA
should
thing. It was
is.
it's just a floating cup holder, and I thought it was cool. So that way I don't have to because I talk with my hands and shit.
See, you
In case I
shared
hit
it.
my
Perfect.
fucking-
You found a cool cup holder. There you go. You
was
can
like-
put your coffee in there.
That's why I told you to go first because I'm like, the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm like halfway down my drink, so yeah. All right, cool. All right, Ryan, let's get back to your personal journey. So
right,
I know
so-
you.
So just to kind of get the nerves out, obviously, we were talking.
Oh, yeah.
Shooting the shit. But I'm gonna ask you. We're gonna have actually, who has their timer? Because my phone's being used right
I
here.
got it right here.
So all right, Sly's gonna be
Minute.
my timer real quick. All right, I'm gonna ask you a series of questions in the next 30 seconds. You're just gonna
Alrighty.
go ahead and fire it off.
Let's do
So
it.
we can, just a quick round. And go. Photoshop or Illustrator?
Photoshop.
PC or Mac?
Both.
Pencil or paper?
Paper.
McDonald's or Burger King?
McDonald's.
Soft tacos or crunchy tacos?
Crunchy.
iPad or Wacom tablet?
iPad.
Sith or
What's up,
Jedi?
Sly?
What was it?
Ask it.
Sith or Jedi?
Sith.
Transformers or Ninja Turtles?
Ninja Turtles.
All right, that's 30 seconds. There we go. Okay, last question. What would be your intro song if you're walking into the UFC arena?
Oh, that's
calling
hard.
out from Ryan from Las Vegas, from Desert Companion,
Man.
fighting at 205 pounds. What would be your intro song? Your walkout song?
Well, my walkout song? It'd probably be like the Crazy Frog song. No.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yep,
That
that's
one?
it. That's it. That's it.
Okay. Well,
That's right.
cheers to
Right out of left field
that.
Yeah,
to the
dude,
Crazy
I-
Frog song.
Martin, it's all yours.
Sweet. Ryan, I know you have a pretty interesting path. Take us way back, bro. Take us way
Oh.
back. What got you interested? Because I know you had a different career path, and then I I don't really know you that well, but it sounds like you just were going this way, and then you went, I'm gonna go this way. Is that
Yeah,
it?
yeah. I'd say I took a pretty big departure. Well, not so much now. It's kind of come full circle. But before I knew that I wanted to do graphic design, I actually wanted to be a reporter and go into journalism. So I did magazine in high school. I went to Las Vegas Academy. I worked on LVA Accolades, it was called. And in high school, I was the editor in chief, and part of my role was to actually design the magazine. And this was at a time where I didn't even know what graphic design was or like what page layout was. I just knew that I was using InDesign to make pretty pages. Um,
What year
and
was this?
this was 2016, 2017.
So what version of InDesign were you using?
This
Where
was
did you start?
this was like right when Creative Cloud kind of
Ah, okay.
reached my radar. This was like a kind of a couple years after they had switched from their, you can buy it once and keep it forever sort of model.
Yeah, yeah.
I think I was still very young though, so but this was when I had no idea what like photo editing was or any of these things were. I didn't know like what editorial design was or that you could like do this for a living. Um, and so, but what I knew what I really wanted to do in high school is I really wanted to tell people's stories. Like that's what I really wanted to capture, and that's why I wanted to go into journalism. So I left Las Vegas after high school, and I went up to University of Nevada, Reno, UNR. And there I took 2 years of journalism school at the J School, the Reynolds School. And within those 2 years, I had kind of realized maybe this whole journalism thing like wasn't for me. This whole reporting thing just made me like super anxious for some reason in college. And yeah, I was just like, oh my
Was
gosh,
that
this is
it? Was
so.
it just like anxiety, and you were like, "No, I don't want to do this"?
No, it was so get this. So it's actually there was a 1 credit course that was offered my freshman year, and it was called Purposeful Design, and it was taught by this guy Peter Laxalt. He ran or co-ran a studio up in Reno called Laxalt and McIver. They're no longer around. It's called Commence now, but Laxalt, he taught this class called Purposeful Design, and he kind of took us through the design process from start to finish as if you were working with a client. So like our project in that class was we were designing just like sugar syrup bottles, and it was like
Nice.
Twin Peaks themed. But through that class and like his passion for design, and he really explained it in just this way that just totally captured me. And I just from then on I was like, okay, well this is really cool. Like I can tell stories, I can communicate
Mhm.
things through visuals. Like what does this whole world mean? And then my next semester I took a class, it was a visual communications or visual medias class, I think. And I remember watching the Helvetica documentary in that class. And I was like,
Mm.
whoa, this is cool. Like, I want to do this. Like, this is super cool. And so after that class, there wasn't really like a design program at UNR at the time. So I was kind of like stuck in this place of like, well, I don't want to do journalism and just like get my journalism degree to do like a design thing or try to figure something out. So I was looking around for options, and UNLV wasn't really on my radar. I wanted to stay up in Reno, and I ended up finding an associate's program at Truckee Meadows Community College up in Reno, and they had a 2 year design program for graphic design. And I was like, well, maybe I'll try out these classes and maybe some art classes at UNR and see whichever one I want to continue more. And
Yeah.
I ended up sticking at TMCC and doing my associate's degree there, and then ended up back here in Las Vegas and finished out my bachelor's degree down here. And it was kind of just a big snowball effect into graphic design, really. And a whole bunch of things really happened in between that kind of led me to where I am now. So that's a Spark Notes version of it, really.
That's
Nice,
awesome.
dude.
Did they
I know
make you take
you.
any other
Go ahead.
extracurricular like design stuff like Maya or 3D?
Um, Not during my associate's program. My associate's program was actually very focused on building physical media. which was super interesting. So I was working with light tables, and I was like, using light tables for animation, or putting things together with X-Acto blades, and all your PVA glues and everything like that. It was very physical based, and we had to mount our projects up on the wall and get them all presented and pretty, and that's really what I enjoyed, because part of my design journey and why I really wanted to get into it, and it's kind of funny now, is I really wanted to do something where I was creating something with my hands, and really working with like physical media, and just building things that I could see and that were like tangible and that weren't just sort of words. So, but I had never touched any 3D software or anything like that during my associate's degree.
What kind of stories were you writing?
I was really focused on human interest stories. To me, people's personal stories were just so fun. I just loved that everybody has this journey to where they've gotten and has this background, and I loved that aspect of it. I'd done an internship, an editorial internship at Vegas 7 magazine right after I graduated high school for like 3 months. But there I was writing, I wrote a profile piece on a couple of people, and just getting those stories was I just loved that aspect of it. Anything that was about the human experience and people's experiences were really what captivated me.
It's funny because like I feel like everybody has a story of their own. Like we all walk our own paths, and depending on what our life journey is, we're kind of outcomes of our experiences, right? But also,
Mm-hmm.
would like to say that like you're in control of your journey, not because you could say, oh, somebody went through a hard life, that's why they are how they are. No, you could go through a hard life, and if you decide to go down that path, you'd go down it, or if you decide not to go there and make it left or right, it's your choice. And I think that's the beauty of being human. It's you have a choice of doing whatever the fuck you want. And a lot of people like use the excuse of like, well, this happened to me and that's why. I'm like, nah, bro, you have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Whether
Hey
whatever
man,
happens to you, you choose.
I'm from the mean streets of Summerlin, bro.
It's rough out here.
Yeah, which hey,
Right?
yeah, Pete was
Yeah.
a
I didn't get no
gangster, bro. He
Corvette
was
for my 16th
he was,
birthday. I didn't
he
get
was
no
a
Corvette.
cholo and shit.
Alright? I had to drive my dad's Aerostar.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, you talk about doing writing and then getting into graphic design. Did like videography ever cross your mind? Like maybe because that meets in the middle of like telling stories of people and also being very hands on, like shooting the film.
It had crossed my mind, and I had a couple of projects that I just like personal projects I had when I was living up in Reno, of just interviewing local. I'd interviewed some local artists and put together some video interviews just to try it out and see if I kind of liked that. For some reason, it just didn't resonate as much as the visual design side of it. I don't know if it was just because of how much equipment there was and just the like hassle of all of that, but yeah, for some reason it just video never clicked for me.
Okay.
Now,
Just wondering.
do you have an edge over other graphic designers because you know how to write? Do you know how to write?
I wouldn't say very. I'm definitely out of practice.
Oh, okay.
I would say it would only give me an edge just because I know how important the writing and the copy component is to building a portfolio and like writing case studies. And so much of design is really like explaining why you're doing what you're doing and the purpose behind it. And I think I've noticed, at least in my personal work, is that if I can explain the story behind something, it it just resonates so much more with whoever I'm presenting it to, and they can see that vision. And I think communicating that is probably, if anything, gives me a little bit of an advantage.
How about
Nice.
copywriting?
Copywriting, yeah, I'd say, although I wouldn't say I'm like an expert. I work with a lot of really talented writers, and who are far beyond my capabilities. But it, I definitely have noticed, especially in like building, my portfolio and everything like that. being able to write those stories about the work and being able to link, point A to point B to point C and weave all those stories together, I think that produces a better result than just kind of like bullet point, like very short sort of like explanations for your work.
Oh, I got you.
Mm.
Yeah.
All right, two
How do
things.
you?
Sly, does the Sly sound like muffled or very low, or is it just me? Like,
Do I sound very low? This is better.
Yeah, you sound like you're like kind of like all the way over here.
Even right here.
No, right there you're fine.
Right there, you sound okay. So
Yeah.
get close.
But
Okay.
speak how you were speaking earlier. Again,
Yeah, you
ladies
sound
and
a little
gentlemen,
like right here.
we are not
Sorry,
professional
Ryan.
podcasters, so
Yeah,
I just want to make sure that it sounds right.
We should have ran the
Drink
test.
break.
It's a drink break. We call it. Dun,
Mhm.
dun, dun. This episode is brought to you
How
by.
about this? Is this better?
There you go. There you go. It's better.
Is that much
Which
better?
reminds me, for those of you that are listening right now, please like, subscribe, follow. It really helps out the channel. Thank you so much for your support. Love the streams. We'll keep doing this because it's super fucking fun. Now, second thing, Ryan. So you go to UNR, you do your thing, you come back here to Las Vegas. What year did you graduate?
I graduated with my associates or with bachelor's
Your bachelor's.
this year.
Cares about your associate.
Oh, I know. But I can still say I have 2 degrees, though. I can technically say I have 2 degrees. Nobody has to know that they're one's an associate.
You're right. Okay, all right. So,
But
so
I graduated in
you
May
graduate of this year.
of this year. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right, 2024.
Mhm.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah.
So you really don't. So okay, so you just
I
graduated.
told you he's
Were
up and
working-
coming, bro.
Were you working before you graduated?
Yeah. I had an internship. I've been at Nevada Public Radio for 2 years now. I started as an intern, as soon as I could in the design program. Once I kind of felt like I had enough work, because for UNLV at least you have to make a portfolio, submit it and get admitted. And after I had submitted my portfolio, I realized, okay, well, like I have this portfolio now, and I really need to get my biggest fear was graduating from UNLV and not having a job, because I knew it was really competitive. I knew it's really hard to get into the field, and just getting your foot in the door, I feel right now is extremely difficult. So through AIGA Las Vegas, I actually saw an ad that was for Desert Companion magazine. They were looking for a design intern, and I knew that I had editorial experience, and I knew I had a portfolio. So I just said, okay, well, I'll apply and see what happens. And sure enough, I had gotten the position, and I had continued that internship until they were like, well, we can't really keep you as an intern anymore. So, let's hire you on part-time. And then I continued part-time throughout college. And then once I graduated, thinking I was, they were going to boot me, they were like, well, I want to offer you a full-time position. And so I'm very grateful for that opportunity and the people at Nevada Public Radio that were able to make that happen.
Did they pay you as an intern?
They did pay me as an intern.
How much?
And I believe I started.
Of course,
If you could say it, yeah.
No, it's if you want to say it, but of course
Yeah,
you can.
if you want to say it, not if you can say it. If you want to say, you don't have to.
I mean, that's the whole
I'm
point of
trying
this,
to remember.
of our, educating people. So yeah, I'm gonna ask how much did you
Yeah,
get
you
paid
mean-
as an internship?
You got
Oh.
2 paths. You either say or we end the podcast. So
Okay, well, good night, guys. No, I'm just kidding.
That's
I think I was getting paid $12 an hour.
That's minimum wage in Nevada.
I think it's $7.25.
Oh,
Nevada.
no, it's got to be higher than that by now.
No, I think I swear.
It might be
25.
12 now because they've been
Oh.
trying to increase it, and so it might be 12 now.
Okay.
Yeah, it is 12. I just checked.
Oh, is it 12? Okay. So yeah, I was always getting
See
paid.
what I'm saying?
You still have that
Yeah.
portfolio that you applied for that job?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I do. Yeah, I
Do you have
think
a digital version of it?
I could probably try to find it real quick.
Yeah, if you can find that, that'd be
Let's
great,
see.
Yeah.
for us to be able to share that.
I'm like,
So
bro,
when
it's
you
digital.
were-
Why are you looking around?
When you,
It's on a hard drive. I'm sorry. Pull out a physical portfolio. I don't have one of those yet. That's a lot of
Like, hold
work.
up.
So okay, so you apply for this job, you get the interview, you get your internship. What kind of questions did they ask you during your internship to hire you on, or to bring you on board?
Um, one of the one of the questions that I remember the most was I remember being asked about what my thoughts and feelings were about the grid, and that question really stuck out to me because magazine
The
design and
Matrix?
edit. The grid systems, the underlying grid systems, and
Editorial's very grid
editorial is
oriented.
very gritty. Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
grid oriented. And I remember being asked about that, and that was a question that I wasn't expecting, um, and one that I've kind of thought about a lot over the years of like working on this magazine. Because when I first started, it was really intimidating working on this big like 80-page book. Um, but now, and I remember my answer was, well, the grid is so important. It organizes everything. It keeps everything cohesive and unified, and it's just important for a reader to have a consistent sort of grid system to look at, and so that they can follow along easily and read it easily. But also, I recognize the importance of breaking that too, and not keeping everything so square all the time. The reader needs like those little nuggets to kind of dig into, and if you have somebody who's just flipping through the pages, breaking that grid is what's going to catch their eye. So I remember that question really stuck out to me. Other questions about just like what are you going to do in X situation when you have to design this, like what is your process for designing an ad? What would you do if you had to create a piece of art for a story about X topic or something like that?
Like, I don't know, fool. I'm an intern.
And I'm like I don't really know.
Like, I
Like,
don't know. You tell
like
me
I,
what
I
to do,
think
man.
I'm like I think you like research these things and then like maybe gather some ideas and like sketch things out and like do this and that, and it was really just kind of like a whole. I didn't really know what I was saying. I was an intern. I don't really know what I'm doing.
Yeah, no. Like,
Um,
thinking about it right now, like you answering that question and saying it out
The
loud.
grid. I was like,
I'm
what the
like,
fuck?
would I ask that to someone like now having fucking 12 years of experience? And it's like they don't know. You don't know what the fucking answer is. Like you
mhm.
don't know shit. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah, like I
it's
really
a
didn't know.
it's a
Like I
dumb
really,
question.
but
Did you have any freelance experience prior to that?
no, I didn't. I had no professional experience at that point. I really just had my editorial experience from Vegas 7 and writing. So I knew how to, what it was like to operate as a journalist, and as a reporter. And I knew that background from it. And I think if I didn't have that, I would have been at a disadvantage. Just just given that there was a position already filled, there's already an intern there, um, and so without that editorial experience, I don't think that would have been. And also AIGA, that was another thing that was mentioned, was my involvement in AIGA is really kind of what I like to tell people. I feel like it was kind of what gave me a little edge up, and at least just showed like this
Martin, don't
is
take credit for
this
that.
kid.
Why do you think AIGA helped you?
I think
Did
just
someone hook you
because
up to that job, or just because AIGA posted about it?
I was more because of I was able to demonstrate that I'm like taking this seriously and that I want to continue this journey, and that like I want to put myself in the position of being in front of designers and like being involved in some way, because I was just so like hungry for it. I just really wanted to
Mhm.
be a designer, and like I didn't know how to do that at the time, and I didn't know what that like meant. I just knew like, okay, AIGA is like the Graphic Design Association, and like if I want to be a graphic designer, like this is probably the most likely place that I should go, and
Ah, I
maybe an
see.
organization I should turn towards, to
How
like
did you hear about it?
the
How did you
position.
get involved? The AIGA.
Oh, I got involved. I heard about it. Oh, geez. I had heard about it somewhere, either on like a UNLV student channel, um, and somebody was looking for board positions. I think a professor had reached out and sent an email like to all the students and was just saying, this is what AIGA is. We're a graphic design club or group, and if you want to be involved in a graphic design like professional organization and kind of just have it put on events and all of this stuff and get involved in your community, then come and join AIGA. So I had joined in as a secretary my first year of school, and that's where I started. And so I started there, and then it ended up by the time I graduated, had been the president of the student group.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I feel like UNLV has always had a strong board with the AIGA. Or is that correct, Sly? When you were on our board, do you remember that UNLV always has had a board?
Yeah, I remember that, and they also had I don't know if you heard about it, Saga or something like that. It was another kind of
Genesis?
group that was,
Mhm.
huh? Sega Genesis. Yeah, they played video games, but no, there was another
Yeah.
one.
There was
I think
another one,
I
and
think it was
think they
Student Association of Graphic Artists, or yeah.
I have their mug right here. The Saga.
Saga.
Okay, so
that was like
Oh.
kind of another group with AIGA, but there was an AIGA group as well, and I think they merged at one point.
Yeah,
But there was always a very strong presence at UNLV, at least from when I was in AIGA.
And there still is, right? Ryan, you're still connected with that group, right?
Yeah, I'm still, as like my membership director role now. That's something that is really important to me, at least, is just supporting the student group, just because I know they're busy. I mean, I was really busy when I was doing it. So, but yeah, they're still doing guest speakers and organizing events and really just trying to get more students involved and engaged. It's more about growing the community over there at UNLV and kind of getting everybody closer at UNLV, because all of their classes, mostly for the first 2 years, are all like online. So they don't ever really interact like face to face unless, those students kind of seek those opportunities too.
Yeah, and also just to let everybody know, Ryan is on our board. He's our membership director, and then I'll pass it on to Pete. My bad, bro. Go ahead.
again, okay, so help me understand this. You had AIGA on your resume?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I had
So
AIGA UNLV on my.
Because you had that on your resume that would make you stand out to whoever
you know what?
the interviewee was.
I
You guys
actually
ever looked at a resume that had AIGA member on there?
I put it
Or
on
would
mine.
that matter to you?
I have it on mine.
Interesting.
I have
I've
that,
never
and
come
I also
across
have AIGA, the award show, when I got awards from that. That was on there.
Yeah, I think
Awards,
that
yeah, I have on my resume.
yeah, but no, I think that a lot of employers, well, not a lot, but I know for the company I work for, it's very important for them to know that you're doing something for the community. So in my workplace, they kind of encourage us to do that kind of stuff. And I know that when we interview people, that's something we ask. What do you do, like, outside of your work? Do you have any?
What kind of artist gang are you in?
Yeah, pretty much. So
You're
I
a
brought
gang,
it up.
bro. Nice.
Yeah, I definitely, bring that
What
up.
set you
And I
repping?
think-
That's interesting. Yeah, I've never come across
got-
a resume. I've never come across a resume that had AIGA on it. And to me, as an art director, I don't think that would make me want to interview the person.
Why?
It's whatever. Like, it's AIGA. Like,
I think
okay,
what Pete is
like,
saying, it's not making him want to any more or any less. Not that he doesn't
Yeah.
want to interview somebody.
I
that
thought you
has
said
the
it
answer.
wouldn't. I
It's
thought you
just not
meant
something
you
that's
said-
compelling to him. That's making them stand
Yeah.
out more than.
it's just kind of like, okay, cool. Like, that doesn't make you any better. Like, I need to see your artwork. Your artwork is what makes you stand, whether I want to hire you or not.
Yeah.
Not the fact that you're part of a board or part of a.
I wouldn't say that like my AIGA experience like trumped my portfolio.
No, of course
like
not. Of course
yeah.
not. I was just wondering because I was trying to figure that part out. Like, how did AIGA help you? Was it because they're the ones that shared the flyer, and by that definition, you got the job that you're at,
Mhm.
but you got it on your own from your skill set? So, did you find that portfolio, by the way?
Yeah, I can. Let me pull it up real quick.
Yeah, you can share
I didn't
it.
want to like click and everything and get all annoying
But
and
I want to,
whatnot.
while you're looking for that and seeing if you can find it, I want to expand on it. I think what Ryan and myself put on there, we're not necessarily just putting the AIGA members. It's that we were serving on the board, so we had some sort of responsibility. So that
Yeah.
can, maybe Pete, that explains a little bit more, like showing you, oh, he was a secretary, he was membership, he was the president, so he knows how to do these set of skills, or these are things that I can, question him
Question
on.
question for you, Sly, as a creative director at the
As
RJ.
he cuts you off.
Yeah. my
Question,
bad,
question,
but
please,
yeah.
question.
Question, Sly. So you're a creative director at your job at the RJ.
Yes,
When
thank
you
you.
do interview people, when you interview somebody and they do have something like AIGA or even like morning brew. What was that other morning
Creative
creatives?
mornings.
Creative morning. So they have something like that, extracurricular activities. Does that make you gravitate towards like, oh, let me like pay more attention to this applicant versus the other ones?
I'm not sure. I
Okay.
haven't interviewed people in a while, but I would say maybe, depending on what position they served. If that position necessarily um, goes towards the position that I'm looking for, secretary or membership, that's somebody who has like organizational skills. So if that's in the position that I need, maybe I'll be like, oh yeah, I want to interview this person because I know they've served on a board and they have that experience. Whereas like if I'm just looking for a general designer, maybe not, because
Okay.
that specific experience isn't going to be within that AIGA position or that creative mornings position.
But ultimately, your portfolio, the designer's portfolio, trumps anything, mostly anything else, right?
Yeah, because we're looking
For
to
me
hire for
personally, yeah,
design.
Quality. Yeah, no,
yeah.
and that makes
Judging on
perfect
that's
sense.
what I'm
Yeah, that's
hiring
making
for.
perfect sense.
That's
Wow.
what I need
Yeah.
to see.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
Ryan, is there
Ryan.
anything during your first couple of months or weeks at your job that you were tasked or that you didn't know? Like you just came to a complete shock, like what the fuck is that? Or how the fuck do I do that?
Yeah, I remember. This is kind of funny. A big part of my job now is I do a lot of editorial collages and a lot of editorial art. Um, One of my first tasks as an intern was I just needed to cut out like these little ceramic bunny rabbits for like an editorial piece. And man, I opened up Photoshop and I realized I had no idea how to work Photoshop. I had
What?
no clue. I'm like, I don't know how to cut this out and put this on a background. Like, holy shit! Like, what am I doing? So I was like sitting there like panicking for a little bit, and it was quite embarrassing. Now obviously it's like that's what I do every day, but that like really got me caught off guard, and also building ads I found was like really hard for some reason. So it's just kind of like obviously I was
Because
still
it's
learning. I was still so new to like the real world of design, and it just those sorts of things caught me off guard a little bit.
Now, when
So
you open up, you just didn't know how to cut out a graphic before, or you just were
well,
just
I
in.
just was like so not used to Photoshop at the time because I was working so much in Illustrator
Oh, you're one of those.
and
Yeah.
InDesign,
InDesign.
and InDesign mostly is really what I was using, and when I got this internship, I was not really taking any design classes for like the first 2 years that I was at UNLV. It was mostly just kind of playing catch up with like everything. So I'm taking like sculpturing making or whatever, but wasn't taking like my typography classes because I had done them in my associate's degree. So that was like but as soon as I got that task and I realized like, oh my gosh, I have this huge gap in my knowledge. Like I went home and I was watching YouTube tutorials of like everything that I needed to know from, how to get really good selections in Photoshop and, how to color grade and how to edit and how to do all these things. And like, what is it that, anything that I could like do to make myself not like a totally useless intern. Like I just wanted to be like, okay, I want to be able to like help, and I want to be able to do something and like provide value. So, okay, I need to go figure out Photoshop like now, and I need to go in tomorrow, and I need to like not be like I have no idea what I'm doing. So yeah.
Did you try to do it in Illustrator first before Photoshop?
No, I wasn't. I wasn't. I wasn't that clueless.
Impressive shit on that.
I might not have like known how to convert like the pen tool in Photoshop to a selection, but I didn't put it into Illustrator, and for that, I'm proud of like intern me for not doing that. So. But I did find my portfolio. Whenever you guys want to, if you want to take a peek at it.
Oh yeah, no, show it to us. Let's go. We're gonna.
Wait, you can't roast this though. You can't roast this. This is
We can't promise anything.
Yeah, bro. Pete's gonna fucking burn that shit, bro. Pete, be like.
No, I would too. I would too. So like this is my first portfolio. This is not my current portfolio. This is like 2022. So this was as soon as I got. This was like the work that I had gotten accepted into the UNLV design program with, and this is like all taken from my UNLV portfolio at the time because that's just all I had. So a lot of these projects are very just like I would never use these now, but hey, they got me the internship. So,
what size paper is this on?
This is like 8.5 by 11.
Gotcha. Okay.
Big sheets of paper.
Print this out, or was it just?
No, this is all mock-ups and everything.
No. I'm saying your actual.
Oh no, I had this. I did not print this out. I just had it digital. I actually did not have a copy of it at my interview, which was really a terrible move.
Interesting. So you showed up to your internship.
I showed up to my internship without a portfolio. So yeah,
balls on these kids,
or just like stupidity. I think it was more stupidity. So I'm really grateful that I was hired.
Ryan's like, "Oh, I'm here. Hi."
I was like, "Oh, hi. I love graphic design." Like,
my work.
Yeah.
My what?
Well, I had sent my current boss who had done the interview. He had my portfolio, so I was like, "Oh, okay, I don't need to bring it." That was dumb.
Nah.
Now I'd like bring it on my iPad and I'd show it.
Okay,
smart,
good.
So I've learned.
Okay, hold on. We'll come back to that part.
I want to ask a question. Did you do everything on this? So you did the layout, and did you do the illustrations on the dudes with beard?
Yeah, so I did all these face illustrations, and then like all of this was like cutouts in like Photoshop. That were like
listening. It's a portfolio piece that has just magazine spread or book layout.
Yeah, so like I'd opened with this, and like this was just kind of like a COVID project and personal project that like I needed to do, and I like grew out a beard during COVID, and it was really terrible and ugly.
How about this, real quick?
Bring the beard back.
Go ahead and pitch us your portfolio here, like you did for your internship.
Oh yeah, show us.
Okay.
What you got?
Oh geez.
Yeah.
So having the knowledge now that you have, right? You've obviously had a few years.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead and present your portfolio to us.
Oh, like if I'm trying to get a job? Yeah. Oh man, I would not present this anymore. But
you are. Put yourself back in.
I think it's just like
back in that space.
If I were to present this now, I'd say, okay, I can show off that I'm like thinking a little bit about images and creating like a variety and sort of like this barbershop feeling, and like these barbershop color motifs and whatever, and hierarchy and this like terrible ragging on this text. And I can show that I can do a little bit of illustration, but also like I am a little familiar with like photo manipulation. Obviously it's like very rudimentary and not the best, but it's like something. And like, okay, I'm thinking a little bit out of the box, right? Sure. And then I had a couple of like logo for
All right, go
just
back,
school projects. Sorry,
go back.
I'll go
Let's
back.
go back
No,
to
this is the
let's go back
pitch,
there.
Martin.
Wait, though. Okay, no, let him pitch. All right, I just wanted to ask Sly his input because he loves speakers.
Well, also, let's. This is like my first
Okay, let's
portfolio. This is not my. I'm not trying to like pitch this. This isn't my
All right,
my
cool.
good
All right,
work.
let's keep going.
You know.
Keep going.
So like I had some logo. I had a logo in here. Some more like magazine spreads. These are all just like school projects, and like, you know, I wouldn't have these giant spaces between these paragraphs anymore. Like a lot of these I would rework now.
Well, I mean that comes with the experience.
But,
You know,
yeah.
you don't know how to do it. So every student had some kind of magazine layout in their portfolio,
Mhm.
and they would just lay out the text and just, hey, this is how it's done. It's easy.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's a little bit more than that, but
No, definitely. It's, you know, but I tried to show like more print projects or, you know, print-esque projects. So none of these were actually printed.
I think I used that
okay.
font for
so
something.
like these invites.
Yeah,
That's your font,
this
by the
was
way, Martin.
Oh, is that your logo, Martin?
That's your custom made font, Martin.
Shut the fuck up, Pete. Mine was distressed.
Custom
Mine was a
font.
distressed font. It
Yeah,
looks
they
I can't
have-
believe
similar
you stole
to
that
it.
from him, Ryan.
They have
I
the
can't
same
believe you would
font in
steal his
distress.
I'm
font.
sorry. I saw it.
Okay, cool.
So it was like a lot of personal projects, and you know, just kind of showing like, okay, I can do the illustration, I could do layout,
So-
and
A question for you would be: I have those mock-ups too. You being you who you are now, you have an intern or someone that's gonna interview for an intern position with you, and they showed you that portfolio. Would you give them a shot?
I would give I think what I value most and is really just like a passion for it. Like I think you just really need to like want it, and like you want to progress, and like, you know, I'm not in a position to be like to hire anybody, and I don't have that sort of power.
But your opinion
But
will
to
be
me,
valuable, though.
yeah,
Mhm.
to me it would be, you know, is this person passionate about what they want to do, and like, is this person going to put in the work to improve, at least? Like that's really all I'd want to see, is that is a passion for learning, for getting better and developing skills. You know, like I had no idea what I was doing cutting out little ceramic bunny rabbits in Photoshop, but man, I certainly went home and I learned how to cut those bunny rabbits out really, really well. And I think that sort of that like ability is what is important, is just that value of learning those things, you know?
So you said it's only you and your creative director at the magazine, right?
Mhm.
So when are you guys going to get another intern?
I'm not too sure.
And you've been there 2 years, so
Yeah.
when are you going to have the courage, or when are you going to feel confident to ask your creative
balls to ask?
the courage or the confidence to ask your creative director, hey, you know, maybe we should get another intern, because not only are you going to give that intern valuable knowledge and you're going to elevate them to the next level, but if it's only you and your
Do you
creative
guys have
director,
to work for an intern?
yeah, it's only two.
It's only
No,
two.
but yeah, do you have the work enough to bring on another intern?
That's probably a bit hard for me to speak on. Like right now, like I manage the workload, like, you know, just fine, and you know, sure, like I would love to not have to do a tile ad, but you know, like it's totally fine with me. Like I still love
I
the
hate
work,
it,
but
but I don't hate it. I don't mind it. I mean, I don't mind
like
it.
I would hate for if I were to have like an intern in a hypothetical, you know, world, like I would hate for that intern to sit at a desk and like not have anything to work on.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, and they're not learning, or they're not getting anything out of it. You know, like if you know, if I had an intern, cool. Like I would find them projects. I would give them stuff, and you know, mentor them and walk them through things, because I know it's not going to, you know, it's going to take them longer to do something than it would me. But I've also been there for 2 years, so
So you've been
Yeah.
doing layouts for 2 years. You've been designing with Desert Companion for 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Okay. So that's 2 years. So what's your, we'll say 5, 10, and ultimate goal? Like where, if an opportunity pops up and you're like, hey, this is another goal of mine that I want to achieve, like what would you switch over to? Or is it
Oh,
just editorial media that you want to stick to? We had a brief conversation in one of the events we went to, and you were talking about moving up. Um, so just
Moving a little
curious,
bit
like
closer,
is
Pete.
yeah, I'm just curious on like how, if magazine is a way that you're going to stick throughout your career, that's great. I've seen designers that do that. They've been with a magazine for 10, 15 years, um, and they love it. They move on up. So what's Ryan's goals?
oh, geez. Right now, I love editorial design. I love working in media and journalism, and if I could continue that and like work on magazines for the rest of my life, like I would just be thrilled.
Wow.
Like I know some people think it's like monotonous and it's
Nah, it's
not
dope.
very like interesting. Um, but
No,
man,
what are you talking
just
about, man?
seeing like I just love like that. Just print media is just so cool, and I just
Let
love being able
me,
to like pick up that
yeah.
magazine and hold it and like
Ah,
just I don't know. I just think and journalism is just so important now, and just there's such a purpose behind it, and like if I can communicate things and communicate these like complex stories in just these really like interesting and unique ways through visuals, like man, if I could do that the rest of my life, I would love that. Like if I could go work at the Guardian, or go work at the Times, or just man, that would just be awesome. I would love that.
I was
Or
just about
NPR
to ask
Yeah.
National,
you,
like
what is
let me
your
just.
dream magazine?
right now I'm obsessed with Guardian Weekly. Like they just have such clean design, such great concepts, and like everything like that. It's
Martin, pull up the Guardian.
Go on.
yeah.
Pete's over here doing hand signals.
Like
Yeah, so
I've got my first Guardian Weekly magazine like coming on Friday, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited to open that thing up and just like tear it apart and just analyze like all of it. I mean, they just have such great typography and visuals, and their covers are always super unique. And yeah, I just think like the Guardian is like my pinnacle of what is just so cool in print right now.
Have you ever considered like going up to your editor and saying, since you have that journal background, going and say, hey, can I write a story? And then, like a short story in one of your issues. And then, it's kind of cool because you wrote it and you get to design and lay it out. Have you
Um,
ever thought about that? To kind of just dip your toes back into like the journalist
I have a little bit.
years?
I've written a few articles for Vegas PBS. We had a collaboration
Oh, nice. Okay.
with Vegas PBS and Nevada Public Radio. Um, and I come from a big outdoors kind of background. That's a lot of what I was doing in college up in Reno. It was like my second degree was like paddleboarding and rock climbing, as my mom likes to say. But I was writing some just kind of outdoor articles here and there, and writing a few upcoming ones at the end of the year. But so I still dip my toes into the writing thing just a little
Okay.
bit,
That's
but
awesome. That's awesome.
just to kind
You
of
could put
freshen
out
up on
a
things.
zine.
I have made a couple of zines here and there, just
Nice.
with some photos that I've collected. I wish I had one around. I can't remember where I stored all of them, but I have all the those passion projects
To
and
those
everything.
that don't know what a zine is, what is that? To some of our
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
12,
I'll bring that up.
21,
So it's like
34 listeners.
so it's like
All right.
a little book that is usually like handmade by a single designer, a single artist, or writer. It could be contents of anything. Like I have a couple of them.
Pull him up, pull him up. Slide. Slide's like got like a
I've,
treasure trove back there, and he always pulls shit out.
I've got a lot of them.
That's awesome, bro.
So this one's like photography. This is all just like photography. There are some that are like little comics. Boys, Boys of LA.
Damn,
so
I
this
want to
is
make
just-
one now. Shit.
So this one I got in LA from a zine fest, and it's just doodles
There's a
of
fucking zine fest. What the fuck?
yeah. Yeah, this was a long.
What
I
the
think
fuck?
this was back in like 2016, but this one's just doodles of boys, and like the types of boys in LA.
I'm like, what?
Why are you
Love
looking for
zines.
boy types?
This
Sly?
These are
What
so
the fuck do
cool.
we not know about
Could be
you?
about
This one is
anything.
the active voice. It's the real life adventures of a lesbian activist and her friends. So this is all like editorial. This is their zine with little comics in it. This one's called "Fuck You," and it's just a little comic of like drawings of like this person's thing, and it says "fuck you" on all of them. So it could be anything. It's just a little personal book. Usually they're very thin. It could be comics, but it's whatever you want to put into it, and usually it's printed on like these ones are basically all like printer paper, so they're like the cheapest thing that you can do, and you just like try and get it out there.
That's dope.
I don't know, Ryan. Do you want to expand upon that?
Zines are like great. For anybody in Las Vegas, the Barrick Museum has a whole zine library with just an extensive collection of random zines, and I used to like go and pop in there and just grab a couple and like flip through them, and there's just some crazy topics from like old skate zines all the way back. But I just love it. They're just like independent, and they're always so expressive of
That's
the
a great
person
word, yeah.
making them. There's no sort of rule. There's no grids. There's no anything that like I've learned in traditional like editorial design is just like totally thrown out the window in most of them. And I think that's like what's really cool about them.
These are all just photography. These are from my friend in LA, Joe Zilla, and these are one that he did with him and his friend from Australia, or his friend lived in LA and moved to Australia, but it's just all of their photography in the middle of this book, and maybe a little bit of copy that they've decided to write along with the photos that they've taken. But they actually did like a really nice like printing of like glossy cover and everything. But usually, I want to expand on what he said. It's independent, so it's usually like a one-off print. So they print, let's say, this says 99. So he'll print 99 of these, and then once they're out, and that's the zine.
That's dope, dude. Like, that's pretty fucking dope. Like, do you guys use that as like inspiration sometimes? I'm just curious. Like, why do you guys gravitate once you get those zines? What makes you go back in there and look at them?
I like the art in the ones that I get. Most of mine are like, like art and comics, that sort of stuff.
Sly likes looking at boys.
Boys.
California boys.
I like looking at boys. Hey man, I went to the zine fest, all right, and they were giving out zines, and I was like really into like grabbing
Boys.
a bunch of zines at the time. Yeah, I was
It's
really
like
into
boys,
boys.
California boys.
And I just
So
grabbed
never
everything
watch
that
this.
I could. So
Whatever you
that's
got,
why
tell
I
yourself,
came
bro.
in- Yeah,
No, that's dope. I didn't.
expanding
I
my
think I've.
sexuality. All right.
All right, so if you were to switch from doing magazine stuff to still within design or photography or videography, what would you switch to? Like, would you ever try like advertising agencies, gaming agencies, video games, guerrilla marketing?
Where you go off completely, like not designing, just do
No, not
print.
magazine. No. It's still design. But I'm saying
okay.
like all of a sudden, bam, there's an opportunity for a senior designer spot with Red Bull.
Oh
like
man,
is it
I would
one of those,
love.
like, oh shit, I'm gonna switch over like Monster Energy drink, Lincoln Design, Hero Design, like Shy Day and Kennedy, or Kennedy White and Kennedy out of Oregon, Shy Day. Like, what would you switch to?
If anything, I'd probably switch to outdoor, like something within the outdoor industry.
Okay.
Ooh, like Patagonia.
Yeah, like
Patagonia!
a
I was gonna say that.
Patagonia, or like a North
has a Patagonia
Face,
account, though?
or
Who has
you
a
know,
Patagonia account? They should have their own.
I don't
internal
know.
team, right?
They
They
might
should
have
have
an
an internal team,
they're
and
big
then like I'm sure they have an agency. Most of these big companies have internal and agency. The
Like I
U.S.
know
Army
there's
contract is 10 years for $10 million, and there's a small agency out of Texas that has that now.
wow.
Yeah.
I know that there's a place in Reno that did some stuff
Native.
for the outlet, the Patagonia outlet up in Reno.
Nice.
And they did like this cool, really cool, like custom built in-store display that was like all built out of like wood. It was super cool. And they did some really interesting illustrations for like their windows, and everything. But I think outdoor industry would probably be like the next step. Like my capstone project when I graduated, was all outdoors. That's it was solely focused on outdoor recreation. So that's like probably the other industry that I'd
So
be interested in.
here's a question
That's
for you,
pretty awesome.
Ryan. Sports climbing or bouldering for you, or both?
Oh, you're a climber.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's a
Yeah,
rock
yeah.
climber, bro.
Well, I used to be big into climbing before I got into school and got admitted to UNLV. Like climbing was like everything. I worked at a climbing gym here in town. I
Which one?
climbed. I worked at Red Rock Climbing Center.
Mm.
What
So-
grade do you climb?
Oh geez, I was climbing like V6 back then, but now I haven't climbed in a hot minute now. So
Scott, bro. I told you I just
All right.
joined. I
Sport
went
or
back
boulder?
to refuge. Yeah, back to that.
Yeah, back to that
Sport.
question. Sport or boulder?
trad climbing.
Ah, this
Trad
motherfucker! I was gonna
climbing.
miss that shit, you
Trad
motherfucker.
climbing, yeah,
God
yeah.
damn,
I
bro.
trad traditional
I was
like
like, nah.
gear climbing,
Yeah.
like multi-pitch climbing is what I did a lot.
I've done that before. I did one.
It
of
was
those.
like it was so fun. My brother and I used to
Yeah.
do that like all the time. We
Bro,
went to
I did a
Yosemite.
multi-pitch.
Like, oh man,
Yeah.
it was great.
I did a
Y'all
multi-pitch
crazy.
with
Y'all crazy.
what's his name, bro? Fuck.
Mike?
The Rock.
No, homeboy.
Johnny Depp.
The Hillbilly. I don't want to
Ashton
say
Kutcher.
like
Wes?
no homeboy, bro. Wes,
David
yeah, with
Flatt.
Wes. Me and Wes did a multi-pitch, bro. That shit was fucking dope. I only did one. That's it, just one.
Dude,
I never
got up
even like.
one time on a hill or on a mountain, and that was it. I was done. It's too much for me.
Well, you know
I
what?
would
Though,
much
Sly, you
rather stick
tried
to a
it.
bouldering.
No, Sly's afraid of heights though, so I give him
Yeah.
props for that shit. Like I give you a lot of props for you, even rock climbing, like even sports climbing, dude, because you're terrified of heights. So I give you
Yeah.
props for that. Because
I got
even me,
stuck
I'm
at
not,
a certain point. I was like,
dude,
I couldn't-
I
I was so tense.
I'm not scared of heights, bro. When I was like 18 years old, I was working in the stratosphere, like 1,000
Because
feet
you're
up
not
in the air.
tall.
Oh.
Just kidding.
Yeah, I guess whatever, bro. I don't give a fuck.
Because I was working in the
Um,
stratosphere inside,
I
away
s-
from the windows. So
Nah,
you
bro.
know.
I was a ride attendant at the stratosphere, bro. I was like out there. The
Damn.
winds were super high, and it never phased me. But even rock climbing, dude, when I was stuck in the middle, and then your hands are giving out, and you're like, oh my god, and then I have the rope on me. I'm completely safe. Your brain is just working against you. Like, what the fuck are you doing here? Get the fuck
Yeah.
out of here. You're fucking stupid. You're gonna fucking die. Are you fucking stupid? What? It's like your brain turns into your mom, and you're like, "Bah, bah," and then you're just like, all right, nah, shut the fuck up. Let's finish this route. So, Sly, I give you props for that shit because that's scary, man.
Thank you.
You tell your mom shut the
Good
fuck
shit,
up.
good shit. My brain, not my mama.
You just say your brain's like your mom.
Well, my brain turned into my mom. Like, what are you
I mean,
doing
hopefully
here?
your mom doesn't watch this podcast because she's gonna break out that
Yeah.
chunk line.
You said shut the fuck
She
up.
gonna fucking smack
She
with
might
that
be
chunk
mad,
line
Martin.
shit, bro.
She
Yeah.
might be mad.
But I want to go back to something you said that you said that people might think that print doing a magazine layout or whatever is boring, and I'm like, no, I don't think it's boring because Pete has done and he shows all the time on Instagram like the work he's doing with the magazine, how excited he is, and how like the dope ass work he's doing, and I'm like, dude, that's fucking exciting. So I disagree with you, and I just want to show what you did for Desert Companion, this last magazine, and I think it's freaking dope, dude. Let me see, where is it?
Yeah, let's see it.
Yep, this right here, man. Talk to us about this right here. This is
So you did the cover?
clean.
So
the
this was in collaboration with my art director Scott Lynn. He did the like background, the little pin dots,
Okay.
and like the Desert Companion and like the Who to Know, that like little box. My role with this was the best of the city typography. And this was he asked me, he said, I need a type treatment for this best of the city. Go for it. That's kind of like all I was given. I knew the what the kind of visual language that was being used in the section, the best of the city section. It was a lot of like lines. It kind of was like, it felt very, like classy, very like royal. It was like black and gold. And so I knew I wanted to do something that was like very flourishy and very kind of fancy, and just kind of brought like this like vintagey feel to it. It's not like really like vintage, I think, but I really just wanted to create something that just like looked very pretty and like flowed very well.
Hold up. Sorry, did I miss it? Did he give you direction, or he just said go for it?
There wasn't really a direction of like, this is how the final result should look. It was kind of a, I need a type treatment for this. And this was like probably 3 days before our deadline. So it needed to be done like pretty quickly.
So no general direction of like, hey, this is the style that I'm thinking. He just said,
yeah,
stick the wheel.
Yeah, it was just kind of like, I need a type treatment for this. I need something to make this like look good. I need something that like wraps this whole section together through the type.
But you already had the section done.
So
the section was already laid out.
Most of it was laid out. Like the general visual language of like the inside of it. I'm gonna pull this up real quick because maybe that'll be easier to.
Yeah.
No, you're all good.
Sure.
So I can kind of break this down a little bit more, a little bit of the process in the section.
Yeah, you guys don't have a free version online, do you?
We do. We've got a digital version of it. It's on, if you go on desertcompanion.com, it's under current issue, and it says digital magazine.
Yeah, there we go.
And it is right there. So I can pull this up and share it.
Update on this El Jimador. I'm halfway through it. It's not that good anymore.
Dang.
Yeah, this Coke.
So I switched over to the White Claw.
Pretty good though.
I told you.
Okay.
Yeah.
My whiskey's pretty fucking good. I'm like,
okay, so you took it, before you flip that page, you also took the front image and used it as the starter of the section.
Yeah, so we used it as a splash page opener. So so I was told, so my direction was, I need a type treatment. If it's good, we'll use it on the cover. If it's not, we'll just use it on the splash page. So I was like, oh wow, this is my opportunity to do something really cool, and maybe it'll like end up on the cover of the magazine. That'd be pretty cool too. So what I was, before I started this, I saw this, all these lines and these symbols and these arrows, and so I knew I wanted to like incorporate these lines in here, that repeating motif throughout the remainder of the section. So there really was no like, this is what it should feel like. This is what it should look like. It was just like, we need something, and we need it a little bit on deadline.
Okay.
And so I sketched this out on my iPad and drew it out, and then went into Illustrator and started refining it and really just kind of building on it until we got to this result. And then
so you made this type.
Yeah,
this
so
not a type that you pulled from anywhere.
No, this is all made in Illustrator by hand.
Okay.
I think like maybe this B might have been like stolen from a typeface, but the rest of it is all, the S is custom, the Y is custom, the C, the I, the T, all of it was done.
It's your custom typography.
Yeah, it's from the sketch. Nice. Yeah. So I put all this together. and whatnot. And then it ended up on the cover. So that was a pretty cool. That was a welcome surprise, and it's gotten a lot of really good reception. So I'm pretty happy.
Was it
with
a
that.
one-time pass, or did you have changes, modifications when you presented it?
This was a one-time pass.
Wow.
Nice.
So so there wasn't.
Shit.
Yeah, so there wasn't any sort of, can you go back and change this, or okay, let's alter this, or let's experiment with this. This was just, here you go.
So
Did
you
make
had
it real
3
quick?
days.
Can you go to the very first page
Yeah.
on the slide, page 1? So obviously, I just want to see if it's on my computer. But do you see the block squares, like the black squares on there when you go full screen, or is it just?
Oh yeah, I don't know why that's like on there.
It's probably a digital.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's
a digital thing
right?
because it's not on my print
Yeah,
copy.
of course not. I
but
would hope not, because I saw that.
That'd be pretty
and
embarrassing.
I'm like, I know they didn't miss that. I know certain things can get missed.
It could be
here and there.
compressing.
PDFs do weird
Mhm.
shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know
for
issue likes to compress things and whatnot.
Yeah.
Man, there's a lot of issues on issue.
Issue.
There's some
So
issues.
there's a
with
question for you,
issue.
Ryan.
Sure.
So your creative director gave you 3 days to work on this, right?
Yeah, give or take, I'd say it's probably around
So-
3 days.
How many days did it take you to do? 1 day, 2 days, 2.5 days, or did you deliver it literally like an hour before it was due?
It took me like I was like in the middle of working on the rest of the magazine, so I was kind of like jumping between working on this type and then putting the rest of it together and everything. So I'd like sketched out and I'd begun the process of building it in Illustrator in like a day, and then I think it was like 5, and I was like, okay, well, I'll just save the rest of this for like tomorrow. And then put it together like all and added all like the 3D effects and all the drop shadows and glows and everything like that like the next day, and kind of like wrapped it up in probably like a day total time.
Okay.
Give or
Not
take.
bad. Like 8 hours. So like 8 hours.
Yeah, it was probably like.
Did you present
yeah,
the
I-
sketch initially?
No.
Like, no,
No,
you
I just
sketched it and
built
then you
it.
just did it. Okay.
Yeah, I just built it. So yeah, and then it was approved. So
Do you have any fun projects you're working on right now?
Oh gosh, right now I'm really just taking a look at my portfolio now, and the work that I have, and really trying to. I've been pretty busy with other freelance like client work right now, so I haven't had time to work on a whole lot of personal projects outside of my full-time job.
Anything
but-
you can talk about?
No, unfortunately not. I wish I could. It's pretty cool, but
Like my mom's birthday party is very cool, you know.
Yeah.
Nah, that's
hey
awesome.
now,
How I feel about
hey now, but
What's the process like? Take us through like the process of when you guys start the magazine. You know, like what's the timeline for the editors to get you copy? How long does it take you guys to put the magazine together? How much of the magazine do you actually put together? And then the approval process on that.
yeah, I could talk a little bit about that. Usually it starts off with a big meeting, kind of talking about. Well, outside of like my role, kind of above me is the editorial calendar for the year, so we know what's going to go on every issue and all that stuff. And usually we talk about copy, what are our stories going to be, what are the feature stories going to be, what's kind of like the main thing of this issue, and then written assignments get kind of put out, and sometimes I don't really have like a whole ton of information give it to me about stories. Sometimes I do. It really just kind of depends. But there's that process, and then after all these story assignments get sent out, usually it's kind of looking at the topic of it and going, okay, well, is this going to be a photograph? Is this going to be an illustration? Is this something that we can do in-house? Is this something that we need to outsource? And kind of just going down the list. We organize everything in a big Trello card.
Shout out Trello.
Yeah, shout out Trello. I love Trello. So we just kind of go down the list and see, break those down, and then from there, it's as we begin getting copy in, then I can, if I need to build an illustration, then I can, build illustrations. Or if my art director needs to go hire a freelance illustrator for something, then he'll go and do that.
Is there like a marketing coordinator that gets you all the assets and then hands them over to you, or is it just communication between you and the writers and your art director?
I don't communicate too much with the writers. A lot of our writers are freelance, so I'm not talking to them. If
your art director
or my editor, it's really kind of, we're a very small team.
Yeah. That's fine, obviously.
Yeah. So really,
your
it can
report,
jumble
though,
up and down everywhere.
Mm-hmm. And but you also communicate with the editor.
Yeah,
that's pretty much your only two channels that you have.
Yeah. I'd say it's mostly my art director now. So those are usually pretty.
That is one thing, starting at any job, it's like you're not going to be communicating with the entire team. You'd be lucky if you're part of one or two meetings when you first start your career. You might be a production designer or a junior designer, and you just kind of get things tossed to you. So again, the big advice on that, when you get things to you, is like, okay, so what's happening? Because sometimes we forget as seniors, like, hey, here's this shit. I hired you. You should know what to do. And it's like, what do I do? What am I supposed to be putting? Ask those questions.
Yeah.
I always say, hey, what is it that I'm going to be doing? Or you got a direction? Do you have any idea? Give me a little push in the right direction that you want. So that way it kind of just helps you. So definitely don't be afraid, but just, again, because we forget. I'm an art director. It's like, okay, so I got my coordinator. I got this person. They could talk to these people. And, hey, my juniors should already know what we're talking about. My seniors should be up to speed like me. And, we just kind of forget that part.
Yeah.
It's been a while since.
Yeah, like if there's like something that, I need to get from like a writer, or if there's like some sort of like context to something, or like if I'm like really confused about something, then like in that case, like I'll reach out. Anything that deals with like very like sensitive topics is usually something where I'll ask for, help. If it's like a big topic, if it's like race or disability, or, just something where it's like, I don't want to like offend somebody like accidentally through something. So like those sorts of things, it's like, okay, maybe we should brainstorm this a little bit, because I am not sure how to tackle this exactly, but those questions have started to, like, as I've grown and kind of have like tackled these a little bit more, it's it's easier to put those pieces together.
Gotcha. So then
what's
you get
your
copy.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, you get your copy and you put the magazine together. How much of the magazine are you actually putting together?
Oh geez,
you're a team of two.
Yeah, we work really well together with tackling like different sections of the magazine. Like sometimes I'll do a feature section, or most of the time my art director will handle the feature sections, and I'll do kind of like the beginning intro pages. But a lot of it is really collaborative. Like I wouldn't feel comfortable being like, oh, I've done 50% of the magazine or something like that, or like 75%. It's just really collaborative. And like, if there's one part that's lacking, my art director will come in, or, if there's a part that my art director wants reviewed, then like I'll go in there and I'll, make a revision. It's really, since it's only two of us working on it, it's really like, we really have to work together to make sure that so we can bounce ideas around. Or, if I do like a layout and it sucks, like obviously it'll get changed, and that's totally fine, because I'll see something there and I'll be like, okay, yeah, that was actually better. That was a better solution. The reader is going to have a much better time going through this than what it was before.
And how many pages is your magazine?
It varies from issue to issue. Gosh,
so roughly,
like I'd probably say like between like 80 pages, maybe. Well, I don't know. I'd have to look, but I don't. I'm like, what is it like?
2 years, but
I don't know.
Let's see.
It changes all the time, but like the page count is.
I was like, I know
you're smaller,
divisible by 4, so
yeah.
You're at 100.
So it's definitely going to be divisible by 4, but
Yeah, you're 116. So
Damn.
with it being that many pages, obviously, you guys have ads and all that crap. How does your file look like? Describe to people that don't know or about to begin, their magazine career or their magazine dream.
Hmm.
It's two different artists that are working on a magazine that's over 100 pages. What does that working file look like?
Our working file. So the whole magazine is split up into a couple different sections. So we have like our cover, our table of contents, all things, and then that is split up into dining and culture. After that, we've got a writer in residence departments, and then features and endnotes, and all of those pages are split up into separate InDesign documents. So
Okay.
the whole magazine is never, it never exists in a single InDesign document. Um, that's just so we can work on things. We can work on different spreads at the same time.
Smart.
We're not stepping on each other's toes on anything. And then also when it comes to review, our writers go into InDesign and they will edit directly in InDesign, kind of near the final stages. So when it gets to kind of that, then it's like, okay, I can do the dining section, and then the writer can go into the culture section and copy edit that while I work on the design in that. So everything is split up and then gets combined into a PDF at the very end.
Do you guys like work off
Okay,
of
so
a
there's
dummy?
a master file for each section.
Mhm.
And everyone could go into that master file. You kind of bounce that file around.
Yeah, it like lives in one folder, but it like
I
bounces
see.
from
Okay.
between the two of us.
Okay. Well, no, I mean, because you say your copywriters go in there.
Yeah.
So there's one master file then.
Yeah, just one.
Gotcha.
Yeah, just one file.
And then, so who's responsible to put the PDF together for the entire magazine?
Right now, it's my art director, just because I don't have the PDF preset loaded on my computer. So for our printer,
Yeah.
so it's just, but that's pretty easy. Like I put together like the dummy for it at the very end, and when we start like organizing ads and everything, and putting like all those together. But
Nice.
ultimately, the print file is reviewed by my art director, and that is final say.
And how long
Nice.
does that review take?
Usually it's like production day, I'd say, like a once over. I mean, we look at the pages for so long that we're our brains are like, okay, I've been staring at this for like 2 weeks straight. So it's probably
Trust me, I know that shit.
Yeah.
I just put a magazine together in 2.5 days.
Yeah.
It sucked, but
So
cool, awesome.
Yeah.
Slide, what were you saying?
Yeah, slides. You had some
He
questions.
already touched upon it. I was asking if he's working off of a dummy, which he said he does that. Do you guys have to work like with your advertising department to divvy out those pages, or are you guys strictly laying that out?
That's something I don't touch any of the ads. Like I'll put them in like their final placement, but there's another department that decides where those ads will be placed throughout the magazine.
Oh, okay. So yeah, your advertising is like, oh, we need these ads here,
Mhm.
and then probably your art director is the one who's going in and like laying out that dummy. Okay, these are where the
Yeah.
stories are kind of falling. Okay, nice. That was my question, but you guys had already like kind of touched into it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Pete, I was gonna say, do you have any other questions, since both of you guys work on magazines? And it's kind of funny because like Ryan's been doing a magazine for 2 years, and then you just started like a couple months ago on your magazine.
Yeah, like 4 months.
Yeah.
4
So
months
do
or
you
so?
have any?
Yeah.
Do you want to pick his brain on anything?
Fuck
over-
no, he don't know shit. Nah, just kidding.
I knew you were gonna
No,
say that.
actually-
I was like, no, I'm not gonna ask him shit.
I'm
Right,
just
right, right,
more.
That's
I like to know like the the ins and outs of what you guys do, because every team is different. How you put shit together. How your guys' magazine compared to ours, compared to other competitors. So it's just interesting on how it is. But also I'm just trying to look at your perspective from a very green junior of how can we help you on certain things, right? Like again, if you don't have a general direction, ask a simple thing, like, hey, do you have an idea of what you want. Because again, even just a simple push of like, well, I'm thinking something like this, because you're already a creative, so you have like 1,000 ideas that you could do. Especially when they're just gonna give you, yeah, put something together, and it's like, shit, man. Well, fuck, I could do like 10 different things that I could put together. Just ask, hey, what's a general direction? Um, that's all, man. Yeah, I mean, I think you do great work. Honestly, the cover that you created, it's dope. If
Fucking
you're at
dope.
that caliber already, being so new, you obviously have a huge passion for this shit, and you're gonna be one of the greats, man. Like it's pretty dope.
Yeah.
You're starting off
Mhm.
at like 100 miles an hour, and that's like your level is above certain individuals. And I've reviewed a lot of portfolios, um, and just seeing that shit that you have, good work, man. Like honestly,
Yeah.
I would say that you're a seasoned designer for sure.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're learning and you're figuring things out as you're going, but it's yeah, you're doing great, man.
Thank
I
you.
think that there's different type of designers, and I don't want to categorize Sly. Maybe you could identify what type of designer you are. I still don't know what kind of designer you are, but I'll categorize.
Hey, man, you can't put a
myself and
label on
Pete.
me.
Yeah. So we have
another
designers that
question here.
are we have designers that are like your everyday designers, and that's me. They, the designers that go to work, they do their work, they do good work, and they go home, and that's pretty well, not right now because I'm doing a lot of shit, but most of the time you go home and then that's it. You go home, play video games, and you fuck off. Yeah, I design, live, move on. And then you have the fucking crazy ass motherfuckers like this motherfucker right here, Pete, where the fuck he's at. That motherfucker's crazy. I live with that motherfucker. This motherfucker would wake up. What are you doing, bro? Designing. I come after work, after 8 hours of work. What are you doing, bro? Designing. That's Ryan. Ryan is like Pete. These motherfuckers are obsessed with you. They are passionate.
I love
Not
it.
that,
I love
not
it.
that
This
I'm
is like
not
the
passionate
best
about
job in the
design.
world. This is so
Yeah.
much fun. It is so
Yeah.
fun. Like
It
I
is
just
not-
could not imagine doing something else, man. Could
Yeah,
not
see,
imagine
that's how
that.
they are.
Going off of
Pete,
that and like knowing
yeah.
like how passionate you are about this, like also to eventually, like Martin has put it in the past before, the bag of chips gets stale. So if there comes a point where you have to call it, make sure you call it. Like don't stick around, especially being so
Yeah.
new.
Yeah.
If a
Yeah.
great
That's my advice,
opportunity-
bro.
If a great
Yeah.
opportunity presents itself and it's something that you think you would be great at, practice it obviously too on your free time when you can, especially when you have these freelance clients. I joke about the mom invite, but hey, I designed the invites for my mom, for my sisters, and my nephews, like everybody.
He does.
Even for like homies, hook up the homies resume. Hey, that's long form. How can you make their resume stand out? I am 10 for 10 for friends who've asked me to redesign the resume, and all 10 of them have been hired. So I love doing that shit. My only ask for them is, hey, whatever your salary is, that's the first 2 digits is the amount of money you have to spend on a bottle for me. So
That's a good deal.
$60,
That's a good deal.
$60 bottle.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, no, man, it's I forgot what I was talking about. What was I saying?
About being crazy, passionate about design.
Oh, yeah,
and
no, you're
shit.
passionate.
You guys-
So here's another question for you: what are you really bad at, like design wise? Obviously, you're
yeah.
passionate about it. What do you suck at? It's okay to suck.
man.
Like Martin sucks at logos. It's only because he never tries to do them. He can do great logos or good logos, but
He talks
just
himself
fucking
down.
hates it. I used to hate long form, man. Long form, and I still hate it. I still hate it to this day. But I'm doing this shit every fucking day for the magazine. But it's just it's different, But before brochures, man, I hated those damn things.
Yeah,
And I
brochures
suck
are
at them.
annoying. Yeah,
I'm like,
they're
I don't know
annoying.
what you want, man. The font's too small.
I
it's too
fucking hate-
big, It's just
Infographics. Oh my god, I fucking hate infographics.
Infographics
No,
are
it's
hard.
What do
Those
you
are
like,
hard.
Martin?
what do you suck at? That's the thing. Like, what's
Yeah,
not a
what do you
strong
suck
suit
at?
of yours?
Yeah.
Is it
God, there's so many things that I
illustration?
totally
Is it
suck
character
at.
Design? Is
Like,
it choosing typography? Like,
illust-
what do you think?
Illustrate like vector illustration is probably where like I'm just so weak at that. Like I cannot.
What?
It's really
How can you
hard.
say that?
It's
You
really
just
really hard.
You just created this dope ass cover with illustration, and then you turn around
But
and say you're a
like,
bad illustrator.
I like consider that like typography though. If it's like working with
You're
type,
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're
like
right. You're right.
Okay.
You're right.
like that's like so different because it's like, okay, I know what the letter B looks like, so I just have to like modify this B until it like looks a little cooler than like a normal B. But
Okay.
if I have to like vector illustrate anything, like it just takes me so long to figure those things out. But gosh,
For all the
there's like just
yeah.
so many things. I mean, like little like motion graphics. I'm not strong at like 3D graphics. I mean,
Yeah.
like, and those are like the skills that I know I'm gonna need. Is like the thing is like I'm gonna need motion graphics in the future. I'm gonna need those 3D skills. Like that just seems like where things are going is just motion. So it's like, okay, if I want to really like solidify myself as a designer in the future, like I'm going to need those skills. So that's like something that I'm trying to practice is those motion graphics. And like I did an animated logo for a project, and God, it took me 3 months to figure out just how to like move the head on this like little bird icon that I had. And it just, yeah. And my brain just doesn't work in that way of how things like could move to interact with each other. So I think that's like where I'm pretty weak
Are
at.
you a traditional sketcher or a Procreate like iPad? Because you mentioned earlier when we were doing the 101, you said iPad over.
Yeah, I am like not I don't come from a fine art or drawing background at all. Like I don't have any of those traditional art skills like a lot of my peers do. So for me, like the iPad is just the easiest way to do it, just because I don't have to go through so much paper, and I can just like kind of edit things really quick with like Procreate. So I use that for like mostly sketching. Like there's very few things that I'll do that end up as like a final that come from like Procreate. It's mostly just sketches.
Okay.
Nice.
Now, I think that motion, like if you're learning motion, that's awesome. That's great. On based on your skill set and what you want to do for your career, I would suggest stick to try to learn that 3D program or any 3D program, because if you can mix your typography skills and you're able to add texture and all that shit and be able to present that for publication, bro, you're leagues ahead of people on that shit.
Blender is a really good one.
Doing
Yeah.
what you just did, if you're able to do what you just did for the cover for Desert Companion and make it 3D, and you have a whole different angle on this shit, and above that, if you animate it, you fucking golden. But I would suggest definitely 3D for the stuff that you like, with the publication and typography. That's the good way to go for sure. You'll be a huge value to any company that hires you, or as a freelancer. So, what kind of freelance work are you taking? Are you doing? Is it still the same, or is it just completely different?
Gosh, it varies so much. A lot of the clients I have right now it mostly is print work and catalogs, or like labels. It's not, like pretty sexy work or anything like that. Like it's, it's a work, but it's still work.
It's beer money, I guess.
Yeah, or like pitch decks and those sorts of things. Like the pitch decks are a lot of fun. Those are a little more creative, and I get to have like a little more fun with those sorts of things. But a lot of it is like catalog print layout work. So I've gotten really, really good at InDesign because of my freelance clients and because of my work at Desert Companion. So yeah, it's really like given me a lot to kind of like just figure out how to get like really fast with certain things in InDesign. So
that's awesome. That's awesome.
You ever try any of the other programs, like in your creative suite? You ever try any of those other ones out?
What, just like XD, Lightroom, like like I've worked in a lot of them. Like I've built website prototypes in XD. I edit photos and do photo illustrations in Photoshop and Lightroom. Like if I have to do video, any sort of like video content, I'll use Premiere and Audition to do audio. I've done like a couple of just kind of like audio stories in Audition and whatnot. So I'm used to working in in a lot of the Adobe programs. I think I used Dreamweaver like forever ago too. That was pretty funny. So
You guys are really
yeah. So
That's
I'm glad
gold right
Dreamweaver
there.
is like dead, but
yeah.
yeah.
So I know your artwork was on the sphere. Do you have a picture of that?
Oh man, they didn't give me
Oh
like
man, I
they didn't
forgot
give me
it.
any photos. They didn't give me any photos of that. They wouldn't give me any for some reason. I think I've got like a 3D render
How
of it.
convenient. I think Pete was
Let's
right.
see.
I think Pete
Yeah,
was
Okay,
right. He just probably
Pete,
there it
photoshopped that
is.
shit on
You
there.
probably can't see it very
let me
well.
share.
Let me see if I can
How
pull it
come?
up.
So we can pull it up.
I like don't
How
have it.
convenient, Ryan. I don't know, Pete.
What
I
was
was gonna
the
ask-
Right.
the client? Or is this for work or?
So this was something that was this was an opportunity that came up through UNLV. There were a selected number of students who were selected by faculty within departments ranging from graphic design all the way to like mathematics, engineering, computer science. They got a whole bunch of students who were nominated by faculty to come in, and we were given these Meta Quest headsets, and the Sphere team had built this custom software that we could use to basically paint on the Sphere. They had it like mocked up, and they had custom tools and everything. We couldn't import any of our own assets, and we couldn't use anything that was like copyrighted or trademarked or anything like that. So we just had to draw everything basically by hand. So like I had like one of those little controllers, and I'm like sitting in my room, spinning in my chair, painting stuff with little controllers and whatnot. And
So
it was really cool. And like, I'm honored that I got the opportunity to do it. And I was even more surprised that it ended up, I won honorable mention. So but it was it was picked. It was cool. It was picked by the Sphere design team. So the top three positions were a public vote, and then honorable mentions were picked by the team. So that I thought that was still pretty cool, and it still ended up on the Sphere. So it was really fun, and just a great experience. It really pushed me out of my comfort zone of I don't have that traditional painting background, so some kids were doing really complicated, really detailed artwork, and I was just like, I can't compete with like this stuff. Like these guys are totally gonna win. So I was even more surprised when mine ended up on the exosphere. Yeah, that's what I learned through that whole process was it was like I had no idea. Like it was just kind of one of those ideas where I'm like, yeah, this totally blows and this sucks. And then they send me an email and they're like, hey, you won something, like you want to come to this event? And I was like, what? Like I won? That's crazy. So yeah, it was really really cool. I mean, it was nice to have that recognition from my faculty, but also the designers of the Sphere. So it really meant a lot. It was a good little boost to kind of keep just moving. No, I was moving in the right direction.
Nice.
Okay. You gonna bring it up or?
I'm trying to find it.
All right. If we find it somewhere, we'll link it on our
I'm like, I wonder if they have a video.
I want to go back to these Adobe programs. Both of you are working in magazines. Have either of I say both of you, Pete and Ryan, have you guys tried InCopy yet?
Yes. Yeah. InCopy is a powerful tool. InCopy is so awesome.
We couldn't get it to work where I was working.
Wait. Explain what InCopy is, because I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about.
So InCopy is a tool that works with InDesign and allows a writer or an editor to basically access your InDesign document without affecting any of the design. So it's just kind of shows like a raw copy, and it doesn't show all your, or it can show your design elements and everything, but the writer or the editor doesn't have the ability to move those things around or alter your layout in any sort of way. and it's underutilized, and it's really hard to get working, especially with large documents. I've noticed. I was working on a project recently that had almost 200 pages, and getting that to cooperate with InCopy was nearly impossible, for whatever reason. And I had tried to set it up.
Adobe? It sucks.
Sometimes
I mean,
it's got its limitations
its
here and
uses,
there. Yeah, but it does have its uses, and when it works, it just works so incredibly well because I don't have to go in and input copy changes. I can just focus solely on design while, and it has a great system of a check in and check out, so you can see when copy has been updated, or when it, or if it's like, when you need to reflow it or anything like that. I love in copy. It's a hurdle to get a team used to it, though, when you're like introducing it. So
that was our biggest issue when I was trying to implement it, because when I had taken over a magazine back when I first started at RJ Review Journal, I had saw this and I was like, yeah, let's try to use this, because I know you guys want to be able to make your own changes on the document, but I don't want you to get in the document, because I know there have been times when they've tried to edit something and things have moved, and then I have to go back and fix it. So this program was like everything I wanted, but training people on how to use it and then getting them to like check it in and check it out was an issue. But Ryan, it sounds like you got it to work. Pete, maybe this could be something that you guys could use at work as well, when you guys are editing some stuff.
Vegas Prime magazine is still very much a startup, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm still implementing SOPs, and we're trying to figure out workflows. That is something that I have wanted to implement, but just haven't had the time. Being bi-weekly, it's a little bit more tough. With Ryan, with Desert Companion, you guys are bi-monthly, right?
Yeah, bi-monthly, but we don't use InCopy at Desert Companion. So
gotcha. Well, regardless, I mean, I don't haven't used it yet. So it's a cool program, though. When I saw it, I thought it was dope. I'm like, this is amazing. Like they could just fix their copy real quick. They don't have to mess with my fucking file. Mm-hmm. Good to go. But yeah.
What about grep expressions, though? Have you used grep expressions in InDesign?
What?
Oh, dude.
What?
Dude.
Let's hear this.
Grep expressions are so cool. Okay, this was like something I was nerding out about. I found this out. I found out how to like automate the formatting of this whole like list that we have. We've got like this culture guide section, and I basically figured out how to apply like one paragraph style to like a whole paragraph, and it will format the whole list for me in like a second. But grep expressions are like this crazy code language that only InDesign uses, and you can do things.
Of course.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's some proprietary thing, but using grep expressions and scripts in InDesign is like one of the most powerful tools that I've like discovered and figured out how to use. It feels like I've just discovered sliced bread. Just because I can do things so much faster, and I can get rid of orphans and widows. I can get like phone numbers to sit on the same line. I can get things to like not break where I don't like want them to. Like if I have, say it's like a suite number, it's like suite 105. If I don't want 105 to go down to the next line, and I want suite 105 to be on the same line, I can program my paragraph style to all set it on the same line. So it's just like these small little like typography things that you can fix. And like, if I have 500 phone numbers and they're all in different formats, like I can use a grep expression to find all those phone numbers and change them to a dot format instead of a dash. Like, it's just, it's super cool. Like if anybody is like terrified of,
that was just a script.
No, it's a grep expressions. Find and change grep expressions. Super cool. But scripts too. Like scripts are even more powerful within InDesign. I mean, I use a ton of scripts for just to fix things and whatnot. But
likewise.
But that stuff is super powerful, and I don't know why they don't ever go over that like in school. It's just
Well, because
this.
it's school, bro. Like when you're in school, it's literally the bare minimum.
Yeah,
It's like
that's
like
that's the
graduating from
worst
high school.
part.
That's the
That's the
very
worst part, though.
you've done
Yeah,
the
let's talk
bare
about
minimum
that.
as an adult,
Let's.
because you're gonna learn on the job. That's the thing. Like every job has a different
Yeah.
way. I've worked at jobs where they didn't even touch InDesign, and I'm like, what the fuck are you guys doing? They're like, we do everything inside of Illustrator. I'm like, that's
Or
terrible. There's a
Photoshop.
reason why your files are like 2 gigabytes when they should only be like 250 megabytes.
Hmm.
No.
So it's a bare minimum. But again, granted, with UNLV with versus CSN versus when it was open, the Art Institute, that what they teach you is very different.
Yeah.
Like to me, um, you're coming out of UNLV and that's great. Like you're very talented. I'd expect you to come out of the Art Institute. Like I can only
Mm-hmm.
imagine if you would have had the teaching of what we had at the Art
Mm-hmm.
Institute, you'd be fucking way
Amazing.
stronger.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Um, because you would know way more. So it's also, I mean, with UNLV, they focus on culinary and shit that has to do with the casinos. That's our bread and butter
Yeah.
here in Las
And
Vegas.
medical.
So, what
They also
Medical.
focus highly on the medical field.
medical?
Yeah.
Obviously there's fucking medical schools all over the place here in the valley. So graphic design is always just kind of pushed to the side. But yeah, it sucks
Yeah.
they don't teach you all that stuff. We got taught a lot, especially with like magazine stuff. At least for I did, you knowing your gutters and
Yeah.
your wells and all that other stuff too. But I don't know, man. That's the teacher thing, and I mean that's what we're also here for, like to have this conversation and bring some attention to it.
To the
Because graphic
community
design
and
is a big industry here in Las Vegas, especially here in
Mhm.
town. Everyone knows
Oh, yeah.
someone that
it's a big
knows
industry.
Photoshop.
It's a big underrated industry in Nevada for sure, in Las Vegas. But I want to talk about that. Your UNLV experience. I heard rumors from. I'm bringing that shit up. Like that, like they didn't even teach you the basic shit, how to use Photoshop, Illustrator, and Design, and you were pretty much told to go learn it on your own through YouTube. Is that correct?
Um, I have some pretty strong feelings about my
Say it,
educational
bro. Fucking
experience.
say it. Fucking say it.
Oh yeah,
Oh.
I'm not in school anymore, and
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
fuck
I have
graduated.
like
Yeah,
I have a lot,
exactly.
I have a lot of respect for my professors and the
Good.
people who helped me get to like where I am, and I understand that the art department does not have a huge budget. They're working with limited resources, but at the same time, I feel like the quality of my education was far worse in my last 2 years of my design degree than it was in my community college. Like I learned how to be a designer at my community college, and I did not learn how to be a designer through my university courses. And I think you can see it in my work, especially just compared to what is coming out of somebody who's only been at UNLV. Um, I just feel like there's just not a very high standard for quality of work, and there's not a huge push to just do really good work and like the revisions for it. And I spent a lot of my time at UNLV sitting in student critiques where people would just say like, "Oh my gosh, I like the colors, I like your typography, I like your layout," and then I'd get like no real feedback of like I'd get no explanation of like, why is this working? Why is this not working? What, how does this communicate this? How does that communicate this? What do these things like say? Like, I didn't, there was no sort of like, this is how you present things to a client professionally. There was none of like that. There was no, at least I didn't feel like it.
Yeah.
I just felt like things could be held at such a high standard, and you could have just such high quality designers come out of that school if there was just like more of an emphasis put on just having higher quality work. So, I didn't learn a whole lot my last 2 years. I feel like I learned more from the first month of my internship, and obviously that's real world experience, and that's where you're going to get most of your stuff. But still, I feel like my critiques were most of them were not very helpful, or not it didn't really do a whole lot for me. Or some of the projects, it's like, why even do this if it's not going to result in something that will end up in my portfolio? Like, I
What
would
kind of
much
project?
just like, okay, make a social media post for like voting day. It's like, okay, like, that's great, that's a purpose, like that's awesome, but it's like, I'm not going to put this one single Instagram post in my portfolio. Like, what if it's building like a whole ad campaign over the
I was
over
gonna
the
say that.
semester? Like, what is like the process that goes into that? What is the thinking and the purpose of this? Like, what is the concept? I just feel like you could have so much more if you aren't focusing on just like, okay, we need to get like X assignment done, we need to get the X assignment done. It's like, there were very few professors that I had where I really, really like learned something new. Like my physical craft projects, anything where it was like, I'm my bookbinding classes. My bookbinding class was fantastic. It was the inspiration for my capstone project and like what I wanted to do, and like that's really where I learned the most. But man, like, I just did not get a whole lot out of that. And I don't know why. It was just so confusing to me. I was coming from a school where my associate's program, I got grilled. I mean, everything was just like, you can be
Yeah,
so much better. Like, if you do X, Y, and Z,
yeah,
and
that's
this
what
is
you
like
need.
Y. And that's like
Yeah,
what you need as, as a
yeah.
student. It's like, I grew so much more from those like really tough
Mhm.
critiques than I did from just like, oh, your stuff is good, so like just keep doing good work. And it's like, okay, it's
Do you feel
pointless.
like maybe you should have stayed in Reno to finish it out? Did they
I
have
don't
that
think
program
so.
in Reno?
Um, they didn't have I think UNR had a bachelor's program, but I wasn't entirely a fan of what the final result was, really. Um, I didn't see a whole, it was like the same thing. I just didn't see like a very high quality come out of the UNR program. And it was a very new program when I was in school up there. So I really didn't have a whole lot of trust in it. And I wasn't going to waste like a whole ton of money living up there when I could just kind of come down here and like live with my parents and finish out my degree. Like, obviously,
Yeah.
I would have loved to go to like SCAD or, like Rhode Island or something like that. But, I'm like not that caliber of designer. So that's just like not where I was going to end up. But I just knew like I needed the degree and I needed the structure of school to get
I
better.
get it.
But like most of it really has just come from like books and YouTube videos and like getting my stuff critiqued online by other designers.
Oh
Um,
shit.
Do you
yeah,
have a
like
place where you do that?
um, design discords. I joined like a whole bunch of design discords and Slack channels, and I just like email people and just be like, can you like look at my work and just critique this and tell me like what I can do to get better at this. Like, I don't really care what it is, but I just need to get good. Like, I just need to get better. So but that was
Nice.
on me seeking all those things out. That was never from my school. So I don't know.
Damn, dude. Like, how do you guys feel about that, Pete and Sly? Like, the school that you go to for design that you're paying, obviously, it's more expensive, is not providing what you need to be a better designer. And Ryan, I feel like, is a different breed of designer, and most students would just not do anything and they would just follow the lead of UNLV, which sounds like it's gonna lead you to a very hard time or failure when you graduate.
Um, I feel like maybe we had a specific teacher at the Art Institute that was kind of teaching that way. Pete. I see Pete smiling over there because he was the star student. Um, but
Fuck you.
Was that the teacher that loved Pete? Is that what you're talking
yeah,
about?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Pete was the number one designer in his class.
I
But
was, I was the number one
to
designer
get serious,
student in
he
that
was
school,
the
according to
favorite
him.
student of this teacher. But to
Yeah.
get serious, I feel like there are aspects that we got pertaining to that one teacher that kind of go in that same line where we had to take these classes that we didn't
Mhm.
really learn anything from. And a lot of it was learning from the other designers in the class. Did you feel that way, Ryan? Did you learn anything from your other designers? Were there anybody else that was
Oh
like
yeah.
you?
There were like a couple of students. I think like I carry a very like intense nature about like design work and always expect like very high quality results. And when I was like a part of AIGA UNLV, I think a lot of the people who joined the board for that group were the people who wanted to be really good at what they were doing. And so those people who like gravitated towards AIGA were usually the ones that I learned the most from, whether it be just like new techniques or new ways of thinking about a project or a new way to tackle something, or just like a new perspective on design. Because the one thing that I did really love about my experience at UNLV was the age range and the diversity within the program was really, really great. I mean, I was, exposed to things that I just never would have like considered or never would have thought about. And that to me was more valuable than, you know, probably like 50% of what I was getting from my classes. So
Okay.
I'd say I learned a ton from my peers, and they can really just push me to do. In our capstone class, we got really competitive towards the end, and we were just like, okay, how can I like top this person? How can I top that person? What can I do next? Like, okay, I'll pull out this animated logo, cool, like, but I'm not going to tell anybody about it because XYZ. So
Yeah.
friendly
But,
competition, but yeah.
It's
but going
always
back to
good.
your question, Martin, I think it really does suck, like, that the teachers are, not really preparing you for the real world. The points that you brought up of like, hey, we can expand upon this project and make it into something that we can put in a portfolio and possibly present to a potential um, potential company that we can work for. I think that's really beneficial. Um, and do you feel like there was a way that you could have brought that up to the maybe the person that's overseeing the program?
Um, you know, I'd say I'm not in the minority of this opinion that things could be
Okay.
better. At the end of the capstone experience, which is the final culmination of everything that we've learned, we kind of began to realize as a class, or at least maybe my group of friends, or like 8 of us, just began to realize like, okay, well, what are we doing here? Like our work isn't really standing out from like anywhere else, or like, we're not getting job offers, or we're not a lot of there. A lot of students just weren't like portfolio ready, and we put together, survey with surveyed students, and we're like, what do you guys want to see in the program? And even one of the professors at UNLV has put that together and surveyed students about what could be better in the design program. So there's it's definitely known that there's a need for
Yeah.
something different.
Okay.
I honestly think that. Oh, sorry, Pete. Did you have a follow up on that or no? I honestly think that it's not the teachers, it's the institution, and I think that, like I said in our meeting last time, is that AIJ needs to be the hammer and needs to knock on that door, and AIJ needs to like bring that to UNLV's
Is
attention
that
and
the
say
phrase?
like, that's what I
Bring the
said.
Be the
hammer.
hammer that knocks on the
Yeah.
door.
Well, I got that from Warhammer. Like, there's a Warhammer phrase which is like, the soldiers are the hammer, and we're the hand that directs the hammer. So AIGA is the hammer that's gonna knock on that door. Because obviously, if they did surveys already and they've done a few of them, they're not listening. So AIGA has to be that muscle that says like, "Yo, you're fucking up. Get your shit together. Be better for our community. Be better for Las Vegas." Because that's what we're trying to do. That's what we're doing with
Mm-hmm.
this podcast, and that same vision aligns with AIGA, where it's like we need to raise and elevate, because that's what we're trying to do. Elevate the design industry in Vegas, and that starts with UNLV and CSN because UNLV needs to raise their shit. Like, come
Yeah.
on, bro. You can't be charging all that money for students and not teach them basic design skills. Learning the programs and all that, that's basic knowledge that they need to be teaching you. They don't need to tell you, go figure it out on your own. No, motherfucker, you're paying for this shit. Like, you need to teach me this shit and teach me at least the basic stuff. And then you could tell me, do you want to learn the advanced stuff? Go on YouTube. But you want to be telling you to go fucking like learn that shit on your own. It's unacceptable. But let's wrap this up. And you, as a student and an up and coming designer, we already stated that you are not your typical designer. You know, you're a higher level designer. You're green, but you're very talented. What is the advice you would give a new student that is going to graduate and is going to go out in the wild?
Oh, what advice would I give them?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, that's so hard. I guess the advice that I would give myself is just to, I just think you just need to like work really hard. Like if you want to be a designer now and you're just graduating, you just have to really, really want it. And I don't think that there's any sort of like replacement for that. You just have to keep making things. And like I remember watching this like Ira Glass video, one of those motivational things. And he was saying something along the lines of, when you start out with something, you have good taste, but you can't execute what it is that you're seeing that's like really good. And like I feel like that was similar to like my position. Like I knew what looked good, but I couldn't make it because I didn't have those skills yet. But I think it's just, you just have to really have like a passion for it. You just have to really, really work hard at it and keep grinding away and like not be afraid of failing and not be afraid of getting your work torn apart. Because most of the time people aren't doing it because they, want to be an asshole. They're doing it because they want you to get better. And you're also doing it because you want to get better too. So I think it's just work. Most of the time, right? But we all
50-50.
50-50.
90% of that, like if it comes from a source like Pete, I'd be like, you're trying to get me fired up.
But my advice,
that will shit on your shit.
My advice would just be just every resource that you can get to get critiqued on your work as a beginner. You just need to do it from anybody that you can, anybody that will take the time, 10 minutes to look at your portfolio, even if it's just like one piece, like just anything really helps. And just always like know, like you're not a top shit when you graduate school. Like I am not, like I don't, like you guys keep saying like, oh, he's top designer or whatever. Like I'm just like a kid. I'm just like 25-year-old dude. Like I'm not like great.
Yeah,
I'm not,
but you know what though, dude?
I'm still learning. I'm still like learning, and I'll be
from somebody who's.
fun,
I will say this to me from somebody who's always like doubting himself, which I do that. Obviously, Slice says it all the time. Like, no, you're talented. You need to know your place. You need to know your value. You're not a regular designer, bro. You're not. So get that shit out of your head and keep doing what you're doing.
Thanks, guys.
Stop saying that shit. Keep doing.
But don't
what
let
you're
your
doing,
head
you're
get
gonna
too
be
big.
good. Don't get your head too big.
Yeah.
Don't be artsy fartsy. Don't be an artsy fartsy designer. Be a great, amazing designer. Stay down to earth and be the way you are, but also give yourself some recognition because this motherfucker over here will tell you, like, how would you put that, Pete? How would you say it? Like, I'm better than everybody else, right?
He's good, but
I
I'm
don't
better.
know what you're trying to say, but what we mean, at least what I mean when I say that you're pretty good, you're top notch for the level that you're at, for the amount of years that you've been doing this. You're a talented designer, but I'm sure I could run circles around you on other shit big time. So yes, you have talent, but that talent still needs to be polished by thousands and thousands of hours of work on your craft.
Yeah.
So
totally.
That's all. Like, yeah, I know you're awesome, man. You're definitely a great artist for the skill set that you're at now. But I still smoke you, homie, guaranteed, 100%.
Don't listen to him.
This is what we're talking about with the head getting too big.
Yeah.
He forgot the humble part,
Pete.
but I'm just saying, bro. Like, bro, if Pete is saying, if Pete is saying like this guy will fucking like I could show him somebody's work and he'll be like, this just sucks. Like not even interested. So if Pete is telling you that you're a good designer, bro, that means a lot. It means a lot because, yeah, just trust me, bro. Your shit's good.
And
But
then
I'll
also
trust
too,
you,
man,
bro.
like if someone says your portfolio is good, it's good.
Yeah.
You're saying hey, get feedback from other people and everything. At the end of the day, though, too, man, you being so new, like if your portfolio is at the place that you like and you enjoy, and you're like, hey, this is the best representation of me, it's good. You don't need anyone else's fucking feedback. It's just like personal branding. If you think it's cool, it's your shit, run with
yeah,
it. Martin, wanted to have some feedback on his stickers, and I'm like, bro, you're paying for it. If you're happy with it, run with it. Like
Yeah.
it's your choice. So,
yeah,
getting the feedback is great. Try to get feedback from people that you actually value, because anyone on the internet will just tell you, oh, shit sucks, or oh, you're good, and then I don't know, that might play in your head for a while, and you're like, shit, do I suck? I thought I was the shit. But again, if you like your portfolio and it's the best representation of you, run
Mhm.
with it, man.
yeah.
Because only you can sell you.
Yep.
That's true.
Well, what advice do you guys have this week for our up and coming designers or current designers?
Know your
Sly.
shortcuts. Know your shortcuts. Know how
Oh,
to
that's a
save.
good one.
Know how
Yeah.
to save
That's a good
files.
one.
Know how to listen. Know how to follow direction. Um, that's all I got right now.
That's good.
Okay.
It's really good. Sly.
Well, coming from a managerial position, learn how to switch between the roles. If you're going to step up into this type of position, you have to be able to go to a meeting and also jump back into design, be able to have people come over to your desk, interact with them, give them feedback, and then go right back into design. That was something that when I was switching over into a lead designer, creative director, that was something that I had to learn. So something worth practicing.
For me is follow your path. Something that no, I'm trying to phrase it properly where it doesn't go off from, but something that
I keep laughing
Pete
because Pete's
told me.
laughing.
Yeah. Um, Pete told me this once, and he said, "You're not a dog. You don't need to be loyal to anybody. Follow that shit. Know you got to know where you want to go. Don't stay where you're at because it's convenient. Just if you feel like you outgrown your position or the place you're at, then go. I know it's scary to take that leap and go forward and try to find somewhere else where you're going to fit in, but it's better than the other option. The other option is for you to stay where you're at and become stagnant and become upset and no change. If there's no change in you, there's no growth. So you have to keep growing as a designer. That's the beautiful thing about our industry. You're always growing. And if you don't grow, you become stagnant and you lose your edge. Don't lose your edge. That's my advice. But I want to say thank you, Ryan, for coming up,
Thank you so
coming
much.
to our podcast.
Yeah,
Well
thank you
buzzed
guys.
already. Yeah, thank you for coming with joining us and talking to us, and it was awesome, and yeah, I'm pretty buzzed.
Don't forget
guys.
to like, subscribe, and check out all of our channels.
Yeah,
Awesome.
good shit. Sweet. All right, see you guys next time. Thanks for joining us, and that's it. That's all I got.
Later,
You
guys.
gotta hit the end
You gotta
button.
hit stop.
You
Oh, I gotta hit stop. I gotta hit
Martin,
stop.
you have to hit stop.
Yes,
You're
bro.
trying to hit this
Yeah.
and you keep
Oh,
going.
where?